Hey everybody, welcome to this ZBrush demo session. So what I'm going to do in this session is show a technique or workflow that I use all the time that some of you may be familiar with, some of you may not be familiar with, but it's a real quick way to block out geometry for hard surface objects. Um, this is going to be kind of an overview, not really like it'll be step by step, but it's kind of an overview of a bunch of different techniques that I use for hard surface. And then as we get through the semester, I'll kind of go through more of the specific stuff. But this is kind of my quick, I'm going to prototype something really fast and then in that workflow. So I'm going to cover a bunch of different tools and the like, and then you guys can make your own type of edge weapon. I'm going to be doing an edge weapon for this, probably just like a battle axe. I'm not going to be looking at reference or anything. I'm just going to kind of design it because this is a workflow that you can use for design. All right, so here we are in ZBrush. Um, I am going to start by hiding this thumbnail thing. Get that out of the way, and we're going to go and I'm going to grab a grid or a plane and drag it out. Um, all these things I'm doing right now are things that should have been covered in the intro class that you should have taken. If not, make sure you see me. So I'm not going to go over every single button that I'm pressing. All right, so we've got a grid here. We need to make this a poly 3D. So there we go. Go over to geometry here, and I'm going to turn off smooth, and I'm just going to divide this up to about 1,000,000 polygons. And I just basically want to be able to have a smooth mask. So that works, and then I'm going to just hit delete lower and turn off my poly frame, and now I've got a canvas to work on. All right, so start off, let's go ahead and turn on symmetry. And this is going to be a battle axe, so I'm just going to sketch this in. Put something there, something like that, and it'll go down. And I'm just going to work on. I'm in this demo. I'm just showing the blade, which will be more than enough to illustrate this technique. So one of the things we can do is use these different mask tools, which come in real handy. So what I'm going to do is just draw out a mask and then hit Alt. So this will delete from the current mask. And then I'm just going to let go, and then I get this. So it's a way to kind of get these sharp edges. And you'll see as I start working through this, I'm going to switch between these mask brushes quite a bit. So I'll like maybe thicken this back up. Because like I said, I'm designing as we're going. I kind of like that. That's pretty cool. Do something like this. Go back to our circle here. Do something like that. And I think that's a good enough start. Let me just clean this like that. So once I get this, I'm just going to hold down Control Alt and then click on my mask. And then this is going to sharpen it up. And I've got these little kind of spare pieces down here, so I'm just going to get rid of them. Like that, and I'm going to do the same here. Alrighty. So now I'm going to turn this into a poly group. So Control W, and it's disappeared. What's going on? It's just got to turn the poly frame on. So Control Alt click, um, and then click drag. That will invert your selection. Delete hidden. Like I've got my own custom menu over here. If you don't know where a specific button is, please just let me know. Again, all of these should have been covered before. So I'm going to go ahead and take this piece, and I'm just going to continue to design a little bit. So just using the move tool, just going to kind of move this around, get a better look. Do something like that. So I'm just going to keep kind of working the shape a little bit just to try to find something cool. I could probably pull something out like this. That's kind of cool. So if you want to kind of get a sharper edge in these curve areas under your select brushes, so Control Shift, you can use these clips. So there's this clip circle. So if you go in here like this, and then again hold down Alt, you can kind of clip that out and get that edge back, which that works for me. There we go. So say this is my blade. Oh, let's move this up a little bit. Give it some more area on top. I'm gonna move this out too. The design this stuff is always super fun. At least I think it is. All right, that's good enough for now. Um, maybe like that. Okay. So next up, we need to create some edge loops around this. I use panel loops. Set it to 1. Hit panel loops. Take a look at what we get. And if you notice that you're getting kind of stuff around here, so I'm going to undo that. And just real quick, I'm going to try group loops on this and see if that gets, a little bit better. Yeah, so any of these loops will work. You can just experiment, but this one should be just fine for us. So once you have that edge loop in there, we're going to go down to Z-Remesher. I'm going to hit Keep Groups and just hit Z-Remesh. This should just take a second. Take a look here, and obviously screwed up. But let's just keep trying and see if we can get it back. We can always go backwards if we want. Yeah, that's not going to work. So let's undo this. And instead of keep groups, let's try detect edges, see if that gives us a better result. If it doesn't, we'll go back and try a different edge loop method. There we go. That should work just fine. Then I'm going to unclick detect edges, click half, unclick adapt, and hit Z-Remesher again, and hit it again. And what this is doing is just bringing our poly count down. So then I'm going to go ahead and keep designing. So I definitely want this to have more of a sweeped edge. This is getting way too thin. And here, so I'm just going to keep moving this out, give it some more girth in these areas. And then I'm going to Z-Remesh. And I'm going to undo that. I'm going to Z-Remesh and put on same. So this isn't going to change the amount of polys. It's just going to change the flow and layout. And as you see, it'll give you some really nice results. So I'm just going to smooth some of this out. Like so. So you remesh it again. That's looking good. This piece up here, I'm just going to go ahead and move this. See if I can get this to resolve. If not, I'll fix this with ZModeler. There we go. And one more. Oh, that should work. So now we have this nice piece. So we've got this issue here. So I'm just going to move these together. I'm going to move this one up here. Make sure this looks all right. Then under modify topology, I'm just going to hit weld points. You can see it didn't weld it, so I'm just going to increase this distance. Weld points, keep increasing. There we go. It finally picked them up. All right, so here is the basic axe head. So now what do we do with this? Very simple. You hit brush ZM, which puts us in ZModeler mode. And if we roll over a polygon, I will go into ZModeler in a lot of depth through this semester. All of you should have touched it a little bit, but for a little refresher, you roll over a component, so face, edge, point, and then if you hold down spacebar, you get this menu. For this, we'll just roll over a single poly, and then I'm going to go all polygons, QMesh, and then I'm going to click and drag, and this will give us the thickness. So we'll just say out to about there, which should be fine. And then I'm going to insert an edge loop. So over an edge, press spacebar, multiple edge loops, specified resolution 1, and this will put an edge right at the center for us. So next up, we want to collapse these edges in to create like the edge of a knife blade here. So roll over an edge, collapse, edge, click, and you can see what I'm doing is holding the left mouse button down and dragging from left to right. So I want to go this way with it, right? So I'm just testing out which direction. So I'm moving to the right now with my mouse. Okay, so I'm going to undo that, go over here, and we're going to do it to a whole poly loop, see if we can get that to work. Let's see, nope. So we'll do this. Let's try this again. All right, so now I'm just going to click and drag. And what I'm doing is just creating the blade edge. Oops. All right, so that edge is done. I'm going to go over here, whoops, do the same thing. Just now I'm going to the left. Oops. All right, that's good enough. So say we want the edge of this blade to be here, and we're probably going to want it down here as well. So let's see if we can do this successfully around a loop. So we're going to go here, think that worked for us. Yep, it did. Great. So you can see that just did what I did up here by hand. It just did it automatically for us. So I just set it to a poly loop. So now we have the edge of our weapon. And what we can do now, one more step. We're going to roll over an edge, and then we're going to go crease, edge loop complete, and then I'm going to click on this edge. And you're going to see it added a little dotted line in there. And it should have done it all the way around. Just double check. So it's going to do that loop, and then I'm going to go ahead and crease this loop. And that should be fine. Crease this one, that should be fine as well. And we'll crease this one. There's probably some cleanup here that I would have to do, but I'm just trying to get this through this as quick as I can for y'all. I know it's going to get boring. So now, if I hit D on my keyboard, we can see we've got edges. And what all D is doing is just subdividing. So it's doing this dynamic subdiv over here. So if you want more subdivision, we can raise this up to like say 4. And now we've got a really nice edge weapon. So this doesn't have to be used for weapons. This could be used for all kinds of stuff. You could take this piece and say this design, it's great. So we'll just say, all right, let's go ahead and dynamesh this. So first let's bake in the subdivisions. So we'll go ahead and do a smooth subdivide, and we'll just do that a few times. Delete lower, dynamesh, dynamesh. Now we've got a lower poly version of this that we can go in. Ooh, that's a little bit too low. So let's go up to like maybe 3.6. There we go. It's probably good enough. So if we wanted to, we could. And I don't have my tablet hooked up, but what you could do is just go through and like edge some of these other parts out. Like so. We can use clipping brushes. So if we wanted to, we could go back through. Woo. Oh my gosh, look at a clip. Sometimes these brushes aren't the most predictable. Let's try it. Let's see if this. Oh my gosh. This may not work on that. There we go. So if I wanted to do something like maybe some kind of design in here. Maybe add a little piece to it. Go up here. Good grief. And I remember these work only on edges. That's right. Ooh, let's try that. Oh, oop. Interesting. I think this could be a Dynamesh issue. There we go. Cool. So then, say this is your new final. You go back, Z-remesh, hit on adapt, detect edges. You can see right now our topology is really messed up. So Z-remesh. can continue to go on. So that's a real quick, easy way to design a 3D object um, really fast. All you have to do is draw it out on your grid and you're good to go. You have all those steps in between to keep messing around. So the real point of this video is to show kind of how fluid the design process can be in ZBrush in a way to prototype things. So I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you in the next class.